When most people picture Romania, they picture the Carpathians and assume this nation is only mountains and forests. And, in fact, one-third of the country's land is covered with forests, and a quarter of those forests are coniferous. It's up to you to decide if that's a lot or not. To find out where the most famous plant of this country grows, I think I'll begin by visiting the mystical mountain of Sialau. For a nature lover, it's truly paradise on earth. By the most conservative estimates, there are more than 1,000 different species of plants in this national park. This park accounts for 2/3 of all the flora of Romania. It's a real natural laboratory. I'm going to go and look. Probably here I'll find the most iconic plant of Romania. Local rangers promised me that somewhere here in the forest we could find this wonderful plant. Tell me, why do the rarest, most fragile, most endangered plants always grow at the very peak? And why are there only fir trees around? I think it's not fair. And it's never ending. But I'll conquer the Sialau one way or another. By the way, these fir trees are very important for Romania. These trees are very strong and hardy. They can grow up to 50 meters tall, and both their needles and lumber have antibacterial properties. The Carpathian fir practically embodies the national culture. The traditional houses with peaked roofs have always been made of fir lumber, because fir is very resilient in all temperatures. Not to mention, it contains a lot of essential oils. The smell of Christmas. So it seems in the Carpathians, Christmas never ends. By the way, back when the plague epidemic was raging through Europe, the Romanians believed that they could protect themselves from the disease by hiding among the firs. Well, I'm not sure what really helped. The magical properties of the trees or the extreme isolation and cold climate of the mountains. Romanians are so proud of the Carpathian fir that when this country was a socialist republic, these trees were included on the country's coat of arms. So, 30 years ago, I certainly would have said that the fir was the natural symbol of Romania. Now, the era of the socialist coat of arms came to its end long ago. In the 90s, the Carpathian forests started to be harvested for lumber. It was a source of quick money, but thankfully, the Romanians soon came to their senses, and now the Carpathian fir is a protected tree in this country. This landscape has remained practically unchanged since ancient times. I think I'm beginning to understand why this place has always been considered sacred. I've nearly made it to the top. The Sialau Massif is called the Romanian Mount Olympus. Though this is not the country's highest peak, Sialau is completely surrounded by valleys, and the view from here is absolutely magnificent. As you can imagine, this is a place of great importance for the Romanians. They think this is the most symbolic place in the country, and even compared this place to Machu Picchu. Anthropologists and historians in turn claim that this is an ancient mountain of the Dacians, who offered sacrifices to the gods and prayed on this peak. In any event, the energy here is undeniable. I just want to stand here and take in its power in silence. There's a flower that grows here in the Sialau Mountains. The locals call it skin duck. They say it's a very rare flower. Our appropriately named guide, Florin, was kind enough to help us on our search. Hello, Florin.
Hello. The skin duck flower only grows in the Sialau mountain. Despite the fact we have many mountains in Romania, it grows only on this one. Only on Sialau mountain. Actually, it's an aphrodisiac and it gives you strength.
Oh, I see. That explains why Florin was so willing to climb to retrieve this rare plant. It's even called Romanian ginseng. Its benefits are self-evident. Well, now all we can do is wait. Nobody said it would be easy. Florin! Florin! Florin!
Yes.
Good heavens. I think I'm more scared than he is. No, don't hit me.
Catch it.
Okay, by the way, stones can easily fall down here, so it's not only Florin taking a risk, but I'm at risk as well to some extent. Romania has turned out to be a dangerous country. Of course, I would like to flatter myself to say that all this is being done for the sake of my beautiful eyes, but really, skin duck is picked pretty regularly. Actually, according to legend, Grecian monks from Mount Athos brought skin duck here and started growing it to harness its miraculous properties. To be honest, I think it would be more beautiful. It looks like parsley! To tell you the truth, these falling rocks scare me. Well, that's what skin duck looks like. It's a very rare local plant for which Florin risked his life, as did I. It doesn't have a smell. By the way, here's another property that's interesting. Not only is skin duck itself odorless, but it eliminates other smells as well. For example, skin duck is added to tuica, a local plum spirit, and the disgusting smell of fusel alcohol disappears. You can drink a little of this after you're sick to strengthen your immune system. Actually, unsurprisingly, skin duck belongs to the parsley family and the hemlock parsley genus. There are many species in this genus, and you have to be a professional botanist to identify skin duck for sure. To be honest, its medicinal properties aside, this plant is not very beautiful. Thankfully, we hope to find another famous mountain flower, and we succeeded. Here it is, one of the rarest plants not only in Romania, but in the whole world. The Romanians call it Florea de Colt, or simply Edelweiss, which means noble white in German. There are plenty of legends about this flower. This small flower courageously survives in the harsh mountain climate. People always mention this. The Edelweiss grows where there is little oxygen or water. Not to mention, it's exposed to an intensive ultraviolet radiation. However, it grows just fine. Cunning beauty experts know its unique vitality and sell the Edelweiss extract with a promise of eternal youth to their clients. However, for lotions, this flower is grown on special plantations. Maybe the wild Edelweiss is even more miraculous? Women from around the world spend lots of money on cosmetics made with Edelweiss. But here it is growing in the wild. You can just pick it, right?
You can if you want to end up behind bars. Here it's a crime punishable by a huge fine and a prison sentence of 2 to 6 years. I think no amount of Edelweiss will make you beautiful after such a sentence.
But the Edelweiss is only the national symbol of Austria. I think it's time we go down and continue our search for the plant that can claim to have the main role in the life of this country. I decided to return to the place where the fishermen welcomed me, and where I saw so many birds. Here is a wonderful place in Romania, the Danube Delta. This is the second largest river delta in Europe, after the Volga Delta. But the Danube right here is not as beautiful and blue as in Austria. Here it's surrounded with wetlands and floating islands of reeds. Truly, they're constantly moving. Because of these floating islands, the delta moves up 40 meters a year. And of course, it's always been the reason for quarrels among neighbors. Well, who could like a constantly moving border? As for outsiders, there are rarely guests here, which allows for the preservation of 23 ecosystems intact. Today, the Danube is on the list of UNESCO's World National Heritage Sites. I think it's worth looking for living symbols of Romania here. Currently, this is a biosphere reserve. This complex of wetlands is the largest in Europe and is the least damaged by civilization. There are 50 shades of green here. I hope I won't have to go diving to find the living symbol. Wow, it's surprising to see roses on the banks of the Danube. They are so beautiful, but they're surely not wild. Is anybody there? Hello?
Hello, hello.
Do you speak Russian?
Yes, I do.
Great.
Hello, come on over.
What's your name?
Ilya.
I'm Eleonora.
And she woke up and saw a hunter. If you're an evil man, you want to kill me. If you love me, say hello.
Hello. What hospitality. Cheerful old Ilya was born in these parts, and though he traveled a lot, he was an athlete, he finally returned home. The Russian community of Lipovans have been living here on the Danube since the 17th century. So many people here still speak Russian. The way of life hasn't changed much. People use the reeds to roof their homes, go fishing, and grow almost everything they need for food on their own land. Is the land fertile?
Yes, it is. Yes, some people steal, but what can I do? That's life. That's what life here is.
What do you grow?
What? Grapes. Beautiful watermelons, 10 kilos each, not many. Tomatoes, thank goodness. Peppers, a lot, everything. You just need to work.
You have everything.
You just need to work. If you don't work, you'll have nothing. Well, the air is good here. My wine is light and pure. My wife is young.
I was getting enthusiastic about the wine, as he had mentioned it a few times already. Now I'm not going to throw a party for our whole film crew, but grapes. By the way, here in Romania, this is a very valuable crop, an important part of the national culture. In the ancient times, when this land was still called Dacia, the grapes were brought here by, of course, the Greeks. They're already ripe, aren't they?
They're ripening. One more month.
Aha. They'll be sweeter?
Yes.
Wow.
I let them ripen. I never add sugar. I don't add sugar.
What? What variety is it?
Champagne, from Champagne.
Champagne? Unusual juxtaposition.
They're not ripe yet, and these are fragrant. They're fragrant.
Ah, this is another variety.
This is another variety. They're fragrant.
We're eating them without washing them?
They're fragrant. Yeah.
Yum. May I?
Yes.
Well, what's another pair of shoes? Honestly, it's my dream to eat grapes on the Danube for the rest of my life. Yum. Perfect. I think it's time to say goodbye to my hospitable host and go on. Actually, there are many people here engaged in viticulture. This area has been one of the largest centers for viticulture in Europe for thousands of years. There is a sad story that happened here in these vineyards. In ancient times, King Barabista reigned over this area. He believed that his country would be even greater if his subjects weren't so addicted to wine. That's why he ordered them to cut down all the vineyards in Dacia. You know, it worked. The armies of Barabista conquered huge territories. They robbed both the Greeks and the Romans without mercy. But when their neighbors banded together to try and kill the invaders, Barabista was killed in a plot by the Dacian aristocracy. They couldn't stand the prohibition. These days, Romanian wine is not as popular in my country. But some time ago, the local wine, Fetisca, was renowned. I wonder if Fetisca is still made here. Let's go and find out. What grape varieties do you grow?
Merlot and Fastacia Niagara, a Romanian variety. I planted Muscat as well. I also have Sauvignon Blanc. These are French varieties, Merlot and Sauvignon Blanc. Fastacia Niagara is the Romanian variety, and Muscat is the German variety, I think. I have many varieties.
What are the differences between them? In the end, once Victor had told me practically everything about viticulture and wine marketing, I began to think that grapes don't deserve the title of the national plant. Of course, I'm eager to call grapes the symbol of Romania, but there are many other qualified countries like France, Italy, Spain, and Georgia. I think we should search for a different national plant of Romania. But what plant? I have to taste your wine.
All right, let's go to my place.
An invitation to visit somebody's home in Romania is a pretty dangerous thing, in the sense that you immediately become like family. You have to meet all the neighbors, they pamper you, and don't want to let you go. But I was longing to be inside an actual village home, especially because I've always been curious to know what these lovely roofs are made of. They look fabulous. It's unbelievable that there are still roofs like this in the 21st century. As you may know, the plant which we have been calling reeds is really the bulrush. Rudyard Kipling, in his poem The Gypsy Trail, wrote the wild boar to the sun-dried swamp, the red crane to her reed. But he probably meant to say to her bulrush. Here the most common plant is the bulrush, and the locals use it to cover their roofs and call them reeds. The reed itself is a pretty modest plant. While studying the flora and fauna of the Danube, I saw huge amounts of it. The bulrush is undoubtedly more glamorous than it seems. Though it is just grass, it's tall and tough, so you can't tear or break it. This quality is what makes the reed such a popular construction material in Romania. Some might think that this roof is used by poor people. Nothing of the kind. In fact, some time ago, such roofs were very popular all over Europe. Why? Look how these reeds are laid. It's hard to believe, but even in the dead of winter, only the top, say 3 centimeters, gets soaked through because stems lie like this and the water runs down from one stem to the next. Well, it's quite a complex way of roofing a home, but how beautiful it looks. Environmentally friendly, I like it. I would love to have a roof like this for my country house. The main charm of a Romanian house is its smell. The roof has a unique smell of dry grass, and flowers, fruit, and the land all have their own smells. And of course, all the day long they cook. The smell of corn porridge has nothing in common with popcorn you have in the cinema, or even with a steaming hot ear of boiled corn. Oh, I want to taste Mama Liga so bad, but as it turns out, we have to cook it first. Well then, let's cook it. To be more precise, we've already started cooking it. This is corn flour, right?
Right.
How much do you put in a pot like this?
3 kilograms.
And water?
Yes. Yeah.
How many? 3?
Yes.
7 liters of water for 3 kilograms of corn flour, right? It's not a secret that Romanians are called Mama Liga eaters because they adore Mama Liga, right?
Yes.
Dear Mama Liga eaters, teach me how to cook Mama Liga. Of course, this is just the foundation for many Romanian core dishes. Corn appeared here only about 200 years ago and quickly became an alternative to wheat, oat, or other grains. Corn became a staple food for poor people in the 19th century. By the way, its yield, ease of cultivation, and low price are not the only reason for this.
Foaie verde, 3 surcele.
3 surcele. 3 surcele. Ох, Mama Liga, у нас получится.
I think our Mama Liga will be delicious. How long does it take to cook?
15 to 20 minutes.
Really? 15 minutes?
Well, if the corn flour is from the grocery store. Yes, if corn flour is homemade, natural,
Are flowers from the grocery store?
then you have to cook it for 40 minutes before it's ready.
We've added some salt to taste, sang a song. Now we must wait. Do you need some help? Okay. Another reason why corn is highly valued here is because it's very healthy. Of course, 200 years ago, nobody knew that corn is a source of essential amino acids. But people noticed that by eating corn, their health had improved. By the way, a life hack for vegetarians. Combined corn, beans, and squash cover the human needs for essential vitamins and minerals. I finally had my mamaliga. Basically, it looked like potatoes but thicker. It's not quite mashed potatoes, but something between a porridge and potatoes. Personally, I would add mushrooms and cheese here. It might be better. But yes, the Romanians eat it like that, instead of bread. Imagine that. Honestly, it's delicious. Not to mention, it's low calorie, so I can eat it and I won't gain weight. You know, my friends, I travel a lot and I came to this conclusion long ago. Plants can be majestic, beautiful, or amazing, but often that's not the point. Sometimes the main point is reliability. When people are sure that against all odds, this plant will grow, and even during the poorest harvest won't let you die of hunger. Corn was domesticated so long ago that now it can't survive without humans. It can't breed by itself or even become wild again. So here in Romania, and the only European country to do so, corn has become their national product. And despite the diverse local flora, wonderful fruits and vegetables, and beautiful trees, corn is the most faithful and the most reliable companion to the Romanians. In Romania, agriculture is an important part of the country's economy. Some time ago, Romania was even called the barn of Europe. Imagine that 70% of all plowed fields are sowed with wheat and corn. It seems to me that Romanians truly adore corn. It's served with meat and fish, eaten as a porridge and in the place of bread. I would say that not bread but corn is the pillar of life in Romania. Therefore, I think corn is the main living symbol of Romania.